Shall we?
Welcome to this Snyder Cut Round Table. My name is Rebecca Johnson, and I'm one of the co-hosts of a podcast called Supergirl Radio, which is a podcast about all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. I also have a YouTube channel that features a video series I made about Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. So if you're interested in that, you can go check that out. But today, I brought some friends with me, some podcasting friends, and some friends who are also big fans of Zack Snyder in the DCEU. So they are going to be on this round table with me. So to kick things off, I'm just going to introduce our round table that we have here today. So we're going to start with Mark Meadows. Mark, will you wave to the audience?
That's me.
So Mark is one of the hosts of DC Cinematic Minute, the podcast that dissects the DCEU films 1 minute at a time. So if you ever wondered about those Easter eggs or those things that everyone passes by and misses, Mark and Nate, they've got you covered. They have seen it all. They've found it all, I think. So if you're interested in that, Mark, you guys are into Wonder Woman at this point. Is that where y'all are?
Yeah, we're halfway through Wonder Woman, and Justice League was supposed to be the next film that we talk about, and so we kind of had to sit down at one point and be like, look, this is the next movie we got to do, and this was before May 20th, right? So we're like, we have to talk about it. It's the next movie. So now that Zack Snyder's Justice League is coming out, now we're like, okay, now we get to talk about that movie, and it's like perfect timing. It's like that will be the next one we talk about, and that'll be 360 episodes of
wow.
Yeah.
That's now that I think about that, 1 minute at a time with 4 hours of a film slash episode, episodic series, I guess. That's a lot of minutes. So I'm looking forward to that. And I would be okay if you dissected the Whedon version just to see what the differences are. But I totally respect waiting for the real thing. I think that's a good idea. All right. Well, we also have Andy Babak here with us. Andy, if you want to wave to the people, Andy is a TV and film journalist for Screen Rant and one of the hosts of the Flash podcast and Titans podcast. So I'm glad we have Andy and Andy's perspective here because we might talk a little bit about that teaser trailer. And I know there's a lot of Flash in there, so I'm really excited to get Andy's Flash perspectives. So thank you for joining us, Andy.
Well, thank you for having me. First of all, always happy to do things with Rebecca. We go way back. We've been working for almost 6 years now. We happen to just love good movies. That happens to come from Zack Snyder. So I'm happy to be here, joined by this amazing panel. And yeah, I'm just so I'm kind of shook that we're in a moment right now this year where the Snyder is like, we know it's coming now. There's no more like, oh, this, you guys, it's not real. It's not happening. Stop with your movement or whatever. It's like, we won. We won.
Well, and speaking of when, I see you've got your team colors on, so I appreciate that you came correct for this panel. So looking good. All right, so next we have Pete Benavides. I said that right, correctly?
You did.
Yes. Okay.
Nice
Good.
job.
Good. I never want to butcher anybody's names, and I feel like I'm going to do it as we go along. So feel free to correct me. But Pete is the host of Geek of All Trades with Pacing Pete. So if you ever see Pacing Pete on Twitter, that is the Pete we're talking about. So thank you, Pete, for coming on and doing this with us. I've been wanting to kind of team up with you for a little bit and talk about some Snyder Cut stuff. So this was a great opportunity to do that. So thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca, for inviting me on. Like you said, we've been wanting to do this for a while, so I'm glad we got this opportunity to do it, and I'm glad to be sitting there with everybody here that's excited about the Snyder Cut, and let's just get down to it.
Awesome. Well, last but certainly not least, we have Bill Meeks, who is a podcaster, author, screenwriter, actor, the chief operating officer of Do Anything Media, and a guy I once personally referred to as a living Silver Age comic book story, and I stand by those words. Thank you for joining us, Bill. It's good to have you.
I hate to confront you like this right up front, but you mispronounced my last name. It's actually pronounced Me-X.
Me-X.
Not Meeks.
Okay,
not
that's good to know. I will
you
correct
would think
it.
It's Meeks, but
I will. I'm noting it for the future. Just want to make sure I never want to butcher that again. So thank you for the correction.
Or at least in that way. Like you can butcher it a completely different way later on.
Oh,
but thanks
okay.
for having me on.
That's good to know. Thank you for that permission. I will definitely do that. All right. So now that we've gotten to know our panel a little bit, let's warm up with a little discussion. I think we're all going to have a little bit of fun. We've got some Snyder Cut well, we've got some Snyder Cut discussion that we're going to put in here right now, but we also have some news that we need to get into. But first, let's talk about what we're most excited about from that teaser trailer we got from DC Fandom. What is everybody most excited about seeing? So I think we'll start with Mark. From that teaser trailer, what sparked your interest the most?
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty much what excites me the most about it, and I think a lot of people have already said the same thing. I think most of us who've been fighting for this this version of the film tend to agree that what I'm most excited for is Cyborg, obviously. Like this thing that everyone kind of says is like the heart of the film, right? Like you hear it a lot. You hear that's what Cyborg is or supposed to be in the movie. That's not what we saw when we saw it 3 years ago. That's always stuck with me. That's always been my thing that I held on to, was like, that's what I'm waiting for, because that's what Superman was in Dawn of Justice. He was the heart of that film. And I think a lot of people, not just people who are not fans of Zack Snyder, but sometimes even fans of Zack Snyder, they kind of misquote him. They kind of get him wrong sometimes when they I don't like Zack Snyder always being pigeonholed as this kind of grim, dark director. And I remember he did an interview not too long ago with this YouTuber, Grace Randolph, and she tried to, in a weird way, put words in his mouth of like, oh, you like evil Superman, I like evil Superman. And Zack Snyder basically had to say, like, you got me all wrong. That's not my intent. That's not what I'm trying to do here. And so what I'm hoping Cyborg does with this movie is really show us what is intended by Chris Terrio's writing, and what the message that people are trying to send. Because the reason that I like these movies in the first place is because they do what superheroes are intended to do, which is like inspire, not just children, but like, they inspire Batman in the last movie. He's like, he's gone off the rails. He's not a good person anymore. He's certainly not a hero in the last movie. But then at the end, he wants to be, right? Because of Superman, because Superman is the heart of that film. And that's what I'm looking for with Cyborg. That's why I want to see this movie, because the movie that we got 3 years ago doesn't feel like that. It doesn't make you feel empowered. It just kind of makes you feel like, okay, well, if we bring Superman back from the dead, then all our problems are answered. That's not a superhero movie. That's just an ex machina of storytelling. So Cyborg to me is what I'm looking forward to. I want to see kind of like the same arc that we were trying to see with Superman and Man of Steel and Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys caught, I think it was the day the teaser trailer was released, IMDb put out a video about Zack Snyder's trademarks, and one of them was grimdark, and it put grimdark on the screen. And I was like, yeah, I mean, maybe, but it's also like super hopeful. If you make things really dark, there's got to be some light that comes out at the end of that tunnel. So that rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, to be honest. But you're right. I think it was like that weekend that Justice League was released in the theaters, all those leaked videos from the special effects people started coming out, and it was like, oh, there's a lot of Cyborg stuff that got cut.
A lot of it.
So we haven't fully seen Cyborg's full story arc yet. So that's really, really exciting. All right. So Andy, what are you most excited about with what we saw in the teaser trailer from DC Fandom?
I'm still processing the whole what Grace said about Zack, but I'm not a fan of hers, so like it doesn't shock me that she tried to put words in his mouth. But wow, shade aside, I mean, there's no secret that I'm a huge Flash fan. I covered the CW show for 7 years now, but I've always been excited to see what they could do with him on the big screen. And I remember when I guess the only trailer we ever got from the Snyder Cut, like back in 2016, with where we see more of the Speed Force, because the Speed Force is one of my favorite concepts about the Flash mythology. And Rebecca knows this for a fact, that like I was so depressed that we never got to see it, that it wasn't part of the version that we saw in the theaters. And like, I don't know how many times I've ran and been like, I just want to see Zack's version of the Speed Force zone, because we have the one in the Arrowverse, but now I want to see the one in the DCU. And I just like, if I never get to see this, I will be so pissed. If there's one thing I just want to see with that movie, it is the Speed Force, and just this version of Barry how he is as a hero and so on. And the thing that kind of strikes me the most with this trailer is this Barry seems so much more mature and like got it together compared to what Ezra had to do with Justice League. I can't say that without cracking up. But so yeah, for me, the Flash, everything with the Flash, we even see Iris in this, played by Kiersey Clemons. So, a different version of them compared to what we see on TV every week. But Cyborg is, because I always feel so bad about how screwed Ray Fisher got, like, throughout, because we heard, even since, I think even back at Comic-Con, like, when they had their official panel with Zack and so on, that he was going to be, like, a driving force with the film. So, Ray Fisher is such a, you all see that he's such a great actor and he's such a great person in real life that I think for me, it's almost like a victory. It's really much a victory to see that we're finally going to see all of the things that we've been teased and promised about his arc and so on. But yeah, I'm just, I just keep going back to the Flash because I just want to see, like, where is Barry at this point in his life? What has he faced any of the rogues yet? Is there an Eobard Thawne and so on? But it's also just, I'm just happy to see this cast back together in that, something that they actually enjoyed filming. So but for me, it's the fact that we're just getting this is what, is seeing all of it, just bits and glimpses in the trailer is all exciting to me. But, Flash all the way, I guess.
Yeah, it did look like in the teaser trailer we might be getting some Speed Force
I hope so.
Stuff. So that's very exciting. What is Barry doing to that timeline? I don't know. He's probably up to no good.
Before we start assuming that he's messing things up,
he might be fixing it.
wouldn't
Can
that
it be both?
It could be both. He could have broken it, and then had to fix it. That's
what Barry does the best. Like,
yes.
It's like the metaphor Jay Garrett said. You can I will break this cup, and you can kind of put it back together, but it won't be exactly like the same. But I just don't listen. My Barry Allen on the CW has been victimized of Twitter being like, time travel shaming him while the legends
time travel shaming.
While the legends can do whatever they want.
That's true. That is true.
At least Barry tries to be responsible, but let's just break time. It's fine. So for me, I'm just like, Zach, please, we don't need another meme of there's that famous shot of Greg. There's a nice timeline. It would be a shame if someone were to break it. And I'm like, don't do this to Ezra. Don't do this to Ezra, please. Like, time travel. Jamie.
Can I add something to that? Since you're so hyped about Flash, something that I'm looking forward to with Flash in that movie is, I think he gets a lot of flack for the way he runs in the movie, but I've noticed with how when you watch Justice League, you can tell what's Zack and what's Joss Whedon, and sometimes there's a moment when when he's running, you can tell that that's a shot that Zack was doing. And so the running looks more natural. But then I know at the end of the movie, there's a shot of Ezra running in a city, and the city's not really moving, but he's moving in place. It's like the weirdest reshoot green screen thing going on. And so a lot of people cling to that and they go, that looks awful. And you're like, yeah, it does look awful. That's the whole point. It's what we're signing petitions for 3 years.
Yeah. I remember I complained so much about it. I'm like, I think Rebecca was one of the first people told. I'm like, does Ezra know how to run? But I didn't realize what had actually happened, and so on. So I was like, but now it makes a lot more sense. And also, just the other thing I'm just excited for. Darkseid. Darkseid is one of my favorite villains, and I've been so frustrated knowing that there's an actor in this world that has voiced him on the big screen, and we don't know anything what he sounds like as Darkseid.
That's true. We haven't heard him yet, so that's another thing to look forward to. To Mark's point, the running in the teaser trailer from HBO Max for the Snyder Cut, it looks like he's like throwing his lightning, and that's why his arms are sort of more exaggerated when he runs. So I think that actually makes a lot of sense. He might be running a little goofier than we would expect because he's doing something. So
I thought that's how we were supposed to be running, like this. Like that's how I've always run.
You kind of are supposed to. I mean, there is like throwing your weight is how you propel yourself. I mean, like if you're running on a treadmill, you're not going anywhere, and that's what actors normally do. That's why they look like.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Well, Grant doesn't even run anymore. Like now, like he said in interviews where I would see if I can show, but like he said he stands on a mark and then just does this, and I'm like, it was almost like being told that Santa isn't real. I'm like, Grant, why would you do this to me? So, but I know Ezra said, I think Ezra said in previous interviews that he's like has done like a lot of like he's worked with the like athletes and so on to kind of like study techniques and how they would realistically look if they were running at superhuman speed.
Yeah.
I'll have to try that next time I do a 5K and just see if it helps, because I'm super slow. So maybe if I threw my arms a little bit, I'd pick up some speed.
You gotta get that time down.
Yeah. So Pete, what are you most excited about from the teaser trailer that we got in August?
Oh gosh, same what Mark and Andy were talking about. Just Cyborg I'm excited to see that. Just there was a lot of hints that he'd have like a flight moment like we saw in Man of Steel, but and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I mean, we've all seen the hints of the scene of Cyborg flying, but we never got to see it. And I really want to see that, especially just because I love like the flight scene in Man of Steel is like one of my favorite scenes in comic book movies ever. Like the music and the way they shot Henry is just so perfect. I want to see how they do that with Ray Fisher Cyborg. Like I'm super stoked about that. I'm excited about the black suit, obviously, and so because we've been so I'm excited about that. We saw it in Man of Steel. We saw the hints at it during this whole campaign, and then it was even teased in Superman Returns. Brandon Routh wore the suit for like a second in the very opening sequence of Superman Returns. So I'm really excited to see that. Just like you, I'm excited to see Darkseid just because he's such a huge character. Like he is like the biggest villain, and so to see him finally put on the big screen is going to just be super exciting. Like I'm really excited to see how he's portrayed, how he is. Like are we going to get some interaction with him and Steppenwolf? I just want to see this imposing figure on the screen just go up against the Justice League, and it's just I'm obviously geeking out over that right now, but that's just like one of the big things I looking forward to. I mean, just to reiterate what you guys are saying, just overall, this is something that I always kind of hope we would get, something that we all had to work towards, and just I never believed when people were saying that it didn't exist, or I always felt like it came from third and fourth hand information from bloggers, and so it was never anybody that was actually truly close to Zack was posting stuff that actually existed. Or you had Jason Momoa, an actor who was literally in the movie, say it exists. So it's great to see it all finally come to fruition, and the fact that we're getting it in 4 parts is so exciting. Like we're gonna get to watch it like as a miniseries, and then Zack said that they are planning to release it as like one whole thing. So I am just like I've waited this long, so I can wait a little bit longer, but I'm gonna be like I told like my kids, like, leave me alone. This is my time. I've been waiting for this. So obviously they'll be watching with me, but yeah.
They should release a Quibi version of it too, 10-minute installments, 400 episodes. That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Maybe Bill Meeks can work on that. That can be a Bill Meeks project. So Bill, what are you most excited about from the teaser trailer that we got?
I'm gonna have to circle back around to what Andy was saying about the Flash. Not really necessarily because of the powers and stuff we're gonna get to see him use in the movie, but I just feel like he's appeared in 3 movies and a TV show now as the Flash, and he's always felt like kind of like a husk of a character to me. I mean, he kind of reads as well. probably a little more Wally West and Barry Allen, but some sort of Flash-like person. But we don't get a glimpse into his personal life. We don't get to see his struggles. We just kind of, Bruce Wayne goes and finds him and we're off to the races. Then he has like a little cameo here and there. So I'm really excited to see what he does with it, because Ezra Miller is such a weird actor. And The Flash has a lot of weird things about his character. And it just kind of seems like a really natural fit. So I'm anxious to kind of get, kind of a preview of what we're going to get in that Flashpoint movie, right? Where he's the focus. And by the same token, based on what we've seen about where he's going in this film now, we're going to get some more of that nightmare sequence where we get sort of like, kind of like an apocalyptic version of the future of this DC universe, which is super interesting to me. I love that one shot with the Hall of Justice, pillars like they're like in the wreckage and everything. I'm just really curious to see what that world's like and possibly get a more detailed explanation as to what exactly happened to get it there.
Yeah, I want all the Nightmare Batman. Give me all the Nightmare Batman you got. I'm so there.
Did you?
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask Bill. When you saw the Joker card flying, did you just hear in your head, look at this Joker, look at this Joker?
I'm contractually obligated to hear that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for people don't know, Bill and his co-host Anne-Marie DeSimone hosted a podcast called Legends of Gotham. If you're a fan of Fox's Gotham, go listen to their podcast. It's phenomenal. They had a segment called "Look at This Joker," where they sung a great improvised theme song and talked about all things Joker.
We spent years writing that song, Rebecca.
You perfected it through the years. I mean, it was just a continually evolving theme song that finally really hit its pitch there at the end. So you're interested. Award-winning Legends of Gotham. So definitely
dig that poster in the back too, the Penguin poster in the back. That's awesome.
Actually, Rebecca bought that for me.
I did.
That's awesome.
It's a great portraiture.
That's beautiful
Of Oswald Cobblepot there. Yeah. Just real briefly, the main thing I am interested in is the Lois stuff. I don't know if that would surprise anyone, but
you like Lois?
But if you think about it, Lois's stuff got cut just as much as Superman's did, cut and reshot. So I'm excited to actually get to see Amy Adams do some acting, because she did not look excited about what she was doing in the Joss Whedon version. So I'm excited to see her actually being really committed to the role. So that's exciting to me. We haven't actually even seen the true way that Superman and Lois or Clark and Lois reunite. So I'm very excited to get to see all of the Lois stuff, because we know some things about what was cut, her interaction with Mark McClure, who plays Jerry, not Jimmy, with Jerry, interacting at Heroes Park and in the coffee shop and all that stuff. So I'm really excited about that. So I think there's more Lois stuff that we haven't seen. So every time I saw her in the trailer, I was like, I was not expecting Lois in this at all. And there was so much of her in there. So very exciting. All right. Well, thank you guys for talking a little bit about that trailer with me. I thought that was a good warm up to get to know everybody and to kind of dig into the roundtable. Okay, so let's get into some news. We have a few items here. So on August 31st, a fan with the Twitter handle @HunterMontgrand, I hope I pronounced that correctly. That fan tweeted, @Zack Snyder has gifted me something as the raffle winner of a COVID-19 relief donation fund. I can pronounce the names, but I can't say fun. For the DC Cinematic Reddit. Included was an associate producer shirt and an exclusive storyboard for the film. I will treasure this. I will cherish this treasure. You rock, man. #Zack Snyder's Justice League. So does anybody have any thoughts on this new storyboard from the Snyder Cut that we were shown thanks to this great fan who decided to share that with us? We should all be able to see it now, I believe.
Yeah.
So Mark, do you have any thoughts on this exclusive storyboard that we got?
Yeah, I think, and I've been thinking about this for a while now. I don't like seeing anything about this movie anymore. I think
spoilers.
Yeah, every time Zach posts something, it's like I know the internet's about to blow up about this one image he's posting, but I'm like, please, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see anything. I don't want to see pre-visualizations, storyboards. I'm like, I just want to see the movie, because now it's getting to a point where people are starting to connect these things, and they're starting to be like, well, this is how the movie is. And I'm like, yeah, but I just want to see the movie. I don't want to like go into it going, okay, so this is the part where, you know, Wonder Woman's going to cut this guy's head off. It's like, I don't want to know. I like this. Let me enjoy it as he wanted me to enjoy it. So
yeah,
I mean, I try not to dig too deep into it, but I can probably assume that this is at the climax of the film.
Yes, it does seem to indicate some sort of apocalyptic boom tube situation, because it's very clearly labeled there at the bottom. So we can assume that it's at the end. Andy, do you have any thoughts about this storyboard?
What I'm hoping that Clark is trying to reach for is a sign of paper that gives us how to freaking pronounce Darkseid's real name. Because I'm so sick of like, I've been like, it's kept me up at night sometimes. I will wake up and be like, is it this way? And I started like trying to like sound it and so on. And like, no, I'm not kidding. Like, this has been like a struggle for me. And like, when
it's Uxseed. It's Uxseed.
Uxseed, or like Uxie, like you're shortening it, like, oh, hey Uxie, how you doing?
I just call him Ux.
Oh, just Ux, yeah.
Why can't his mama just name him like, I don't know, like Steve or something? I don't know. Like, I'm like, I mean, like, look at all the other names that they have, like, you know, Granny Goodness, Big Barda, Orion, and so on, Calbeck. But for some reason, they were like, you know what? Let's take one of the most useless letters in the alphabet and just put it, you know, in the shortest name ever and make it impossible to pronounce.
That just makes Darkseid special. He feels so special that his name is unpronounceable, and maybe that's why he changed it to Darkseid.
It looks like, cool. It looks
cool,
it
looks cool. Yeah, so I don't know if we'll hear that uttered in the true version of this film, but it would be nice if somebody would take a stab at it, so we wouldn't all have to guess. That would be great. So, Pete, do you have any thoughts on the storyboard?
Just real quickly, it actually made me talking about his name actually made me think of the joke about in Star Wars, where in the world, in the world of Qui-Gons and Obi-Wans, how did we get Luke and Leia? So that made me think of that. But as far as this storyboard goes, you know, I can't help but think of the panel that Zack did. It wasn't too long ago, where he was talking about the way he was going to shoot this entire thing. And I can't help but think of what is it? Doesn't he talk about how Darkseid kills Lois, and then the Flash? I don't know if there was a boom tube scene in that, but Zack talked about this. He went through the scene. Now I can't help but think if that's connected somehow. Maybe I'm completely off, but it just makes my it just takes me back to when he was going through this and describing how he was going to do it. And, you know, if there's some connection there, obviously he could have changed it now that they are officially doing everything and he's going to get to do it the way he wants to. But it just makes me think of that panel he did a while back.
Yeah, that was at SnyderCon, which I'm still beating myself up for that I did not get out there. But yeah, he did sort of lay out his original vision for the story. And I've always wondered how much of that actually got put into that, to what he shot for Justice League. I don't know if that had already been reworked by the time they actually went into principal photography, or if he actually got to put some of those ideas in. But it sounded like a pretty great story. So I guess we'll have to see. Who knows what's in this 4-hour long film / TV episodic series.
Would you be ready for it though, Rebecca? Like, are you physically ready to see Lois Lane be killed on the big on the big screen?
If Barry can successfully manage that timeline and fix everything, I don't have anything to worry about. So I feel good. If Barry can handle it.
Time travel shamed, you know, like he's seen what his other counterpart has done. So, you know, I mean, you know, people say don't change the timer, but if, you know, Lois dies, like, you know, it's like, you know, what do you actually want?
This is the one exception, because she is the key. So this is very important. So he's got to change it.
I'm going to give you a choice here, Rebecca. Okay. So Lois dies. Barry can go back in time to save her. But then the Joss Whedon version of the Justice League becomes continuity again.
Ooh, what's my other choice? Do I have another choice?
No, that's the only. No, she's dead. and and Darkseid's coming after you next, so you have to choose.
Oh, that sounds like a terrible choice, and I do not want to take it.
I'm having flashbacks of Smallville when Clark had to save Lana, and then in turn it killed Jonathan. So
yeah,
flashbacks,
it was
flashbacks.
Yeah, it was one of those things. That was season 5. I can't remember the episode right now.
The 100th episode. The 100th episode.
It was the 100th episode. He did the right thing, saved Lana, and then his dad died. I don't think that was the right trade myself, but that's what happened. So lesson learned, I guess. Okay, so Bill, do you have any thoughts on the storyboard?
I think the arrows at the top are very interesting because it implies to me that, that they might be coming out of the boom tube, which, you assume in a movie like this, the forces of apocalypse are going to come to Earth in boom tubes, maybe towards the end, but the Justice League coming out of a boom tube, that's interesting to me. I mean, obviously there could be like a storyboard before this that has the other side of it. Oh, look, here's Desaad and Darkseid and all these people, and then they flip around and you see the Justice League somehow, but it does imply to me that they're flying out or coming out of it. So I'm like, what's up with that?
Yeah, that does that arrow does indicate some movement, some sort of push. I guess the push is coming towards the camera. But we do know that Cyborg is sort of made out of mother boxes, so it would not be inexplicable to expect that he might be able to create a boom tube. So that would be pretty cool if that was the case. I just love Zack Snyder storyboards. I cannot draw worth a lick. But I love looking at his Justice League ones because you can clearly see which characters they are, even if it's, just very slight drawings. You got the S. He even has a little S curl on Superman. You don't have to have all the details on Aquaman, but that's who that is. And Wonder Woman's back there with her sword and shield. So I love that he has the little attentions to detail that it may not be the most intricate drawing, but you know who those people are. So I really like his storyboards. And if you were curious, the fan who won the pack that Zack Snyder sent that person got some pretty great swag there. So Zack Snyder is pretty generous.
Cowl? Did he get Ben Affleck's cowl?
It looks like it's autographed, maybe too.
Oh man!
So
I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
I'm trying so hard right now not to cuss. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's great that this was part of this great raffle donation. But I'm just, you guys don't know how much. Like, Ben Affleck is my favorite Batman on the big screen, and someone has his cowl. I'm sorry.
Well, to be fair, that may not be like the cowl. It may just be a cowl that.
Oh, it doesn't matter if Ben has at least worn that. I'm like that is that's better than Oscars, for God's sake.
True. Yeah, no, I don't think all of this is what Zack sent. I think definitely the storyboard and the associate producer shirt, which I'm waiting on mine to come because Rebecca Johnson is an associate producer of Justice League. So I want everyone to know it. So that's awesome for that fan. So I appreciate that person sharing that with us. Because
Zack Snyder's hard.
All right. So I had a question just because I was thinking about storyboards, and if Zack Snyder was going to send you a storyboard in the mail like he did for this fan, what shot or scene would you want that storyboard to be of? Mark, do you have anything in mind?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to get a storyboard, it would probably the one that I think people talk about most is this revolving. He kind of had to do something very innovative in a scene with all the Justice League members that it required a bit of movie magic with the cameras rotating around the actors, and we've seen that multiple times in different ways. We've seen how those shots look, and I guess to own a piece of that would be pretty historic. It'd be like, oh, that's this famous scene. And when I was watching the Justice League teaser that came out in Fandom, I was looking at that, that last clip where Barry is talking to Bruce Wayne, and it almost looks like two scenes put together because you have them in costume and then you have them in their casual clothing. And when I saw Diana, I was like, okay, that's that scene that we've been waiting to see and see how those cameras capture that moment. So I was like, oh, I'm excited to see how that one came out of production. So I think that would be a cool one to get my hands on.
Yeah, that would be cool because the storyboard is basically Zack Snyder's mind sort of vomiting on the page. So you're getting what's in his head onto a page. So that's pretty cool. Andy, there was probably a better word for that. I'm sorry, guys. That was a little grotesque. Andy, if there's anything, and it doesn't have to be from Justice League, it could be from Man of Steel, it could be from BVS. If you could own a Zack Snyder storyboard, which one would it be?
Oh,
Should I come back to you? Do you need more time?
Yeah. Because
too many options. Now he's got to think 300. He's got to think Sucker Punch.
That's true. You could go through the whole filmography. Yeah. Pete, Bill, do you guys have any thoughts?
I would probably pick from Man of Steel, and it was mentioned earlier, that first flight sequence. Just because it's such a wonderful sequence, and there's just this one moment when he first gets up in the air and he's like, wait a second, this is working. Like this look that Henry Cavill, I just like that whole sequence is just so wonderfully shot. And, that's probably my favorite sequence he's done out of all of them.
That's a good choice. Pete, do you have a storyboard in mind that you would want?
Yeah, it would probably, for me, it's a toss up between that scene and then some moment from the warehouse fight with in BVS, just because, not taking away from the Batman, but before that, that to me, that was like the best combat Batman we've ever seen. Like it just gave me all these like Arkham video game vibes. Like I felt like Zack Snyder saw the video games like that. I want that. And so that's exactly what we got in the warehouse scene. And I still remember sitting there and like goosebumps all over my body. And I was almost tearing up because I was like, this is beautiful right now. And so for me, it would be a toss between a storyboard from that scene and probably the first flight.
Good choices. Andy, do you have a pick now?
I mean, the flight sequence from Man of Steel that would be kind of cool to have on my wall. But I kind of want some. I mean, even though we haven't seen it, I kind of want like whatever Flash's biggest action moment will be in the Snyder Cut. That's what I would want. Just because I mean, like, I'm used to seeing how Speedsters fights on the CW, but I kind of want to see like what Zack did, with the people that he were. I'm blanking on the name of the stunt coordinators on this, but. I kind of just want to see what they do. And for me, it would kind of be epic if, I know it's probably not going to happen, but Barry kind of goes up against Darkseid briefly. Like that would be kind of dope. But, he's probably not going to fight Darkseid because, he's just a time travel fixer anyway.
Would you want that moment with the Flash and Diana with the sword where they do the touch, little dink?
I was so afraid when you said Flash and Diana. You were about to
not that moment. Not that moment. No. The good part of that sequence. Yeah.
I would actually pay good money to have Zack Snyder storyboard that out.
No.
Yeah.
So the sword bit that was his.
The sword bit we think is in
because they described that I think pretty early on with like set visits and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that was.
Yeah, that would be cool. Kind of just see like how he, because I guess Zach, like if I had to imagine how he vomits in his mind,
mind vomit.
It's like I kind of see like drawing like a Barry there, and suddenly there's another Barry there, and a Barry up there. So and then like he suddenly like touches the end of the sword. So like I would kind of want that. And then whenever we get a Green Lantern in this film, because damn, this God, like this is like the best mystery game I've ever played, with a movie. So
who knows what we're gonna get? I would probably pick Superman throwing Batman into the bat signal. I think is what I would pick from Dawn of Justice. That I think that would be really interesting to see how he mind vomited that out. That's what I would. That's what I would probably want.
Look what you've done, Rebecca.
It's
Hashtag
just
mind vomit.
hashtag mind
it's a
vomit.
thing, it's a thing now.
Get it trending.
Yeah,
All
he-
right.
It
then
could have been like a milkshake machine. It could have been like a candy dispenser. You chose vomit.
That's true. There could have been so many more metaphors that I would have gone with.
Is there a lowest storyboard that you would want from any of these films?
Well, I probably would want the Flash going into the Batcave saying Lois is the key. That would probably be that one. There'd probably be some Lois from Man of Steel probably that I would also be interested in. Maybe her with the space gear on the ship. Yeah, because I always thought it was so cool. Like Lois went to space. Why does nobody talk about that? That needs to be talked about more. Why don't we talk about that?
Scene. I love that
Underrated
scene.
sequence.
That's like the one part of the movie that has Junkie XL's music that you can't find on like the soundtrack or whatever. It's like whatever song is playing in that moment is Junkie XL, and it's uncredited. It's so good.
Really?
It's called Escape the Ship.
Yeah.
That's not what I do on my podcast. I'm sorry. You can
See,
keep going.
this is why you should listen to DC Cinematic Minute. This is what they discovered for us. But yeah, that's great music in that sequence. Maybe also a storyboard of Superman saving Lois in that sequence in the pod. So I have so many.
I thought you were going to say that Lois finding a fortress for the first. I thought you were going to say that.
That's also good. Just give me all the Lois storyboards. I'm fine.
Zach.
I'm fine with that.
Rebecca.
Yeah. Zack Snyder, if you're looking to give any of these away, you know how to get in touch with us. So we're just putting that out there. Okay.
Zach, can you make like a Bitmoji of Lois and send it to Rebecca, please?
Please. Don't ask for much. I'm not too greedy. I don't need a lot. I'm very easy to please. Okay, well, I guess we should move on and talk about some film news related to Zack Snyder. And this is gonna be a wild ride, guys, because there's some names that might be a little difficult to pronounce. So we're gonna do this together. All right. So according to Deadline.com, Netflix has already greenlit a prequel feature and spinoff anime series, very specifically an anime series of Zack Snyder's upcoming zombie action heist film titled Army of the Dead. And if you don't know about Army of the Dead, it follows the aftermath of a zombie outbreak in Las Vegas and the group of mercenaries who venture into the quarantine zone to pull off a big heist. The cast includes Dave Bautista, Ella Purnell, Anna de la Reguera, Theo Rossi, Huma Qureshi, Omari Hardwick, Tig Notaro, Hiro Yuki Sanada, Garrett Dillahunt, Matthias Schweihofer, Raul Castillo, Nora Arne-Zadair, and Samantha Wynn. I think I did that without butchering them too much. I think we got through it.
It's pronounced Zack Snyder. Not
Snyder, yeah.
See, I knew I was going to do it. I knew I was going to mess it up. So hopefully I got through that list without offending anyone too greatly. The prequel will be directed by and star Schweihofer, and will follow his Army of the Dead character Ludwig Dieter. Shay Haddon, one of the writers of the screenplay for Army of the Dead, will write the prequel as well as the animated series. The prequel film will be produced out of Germany by Deborah Snyder, Zack Snyder, and Wesley Collar of The Stone Quarry, and Schweihofer and Dan Mogg of Pantaleon Films. The anime series Army of the Dead Las Vegas chronicles the origin story of Scott, played by Dave Bautista, and his rescue crew during the initial fall of Vegas as they confront the mysterious mysterious source of the zombie outbreak. Zack Snyder will direct 2 episodes of the anime series. Jay Oliva from Batman The Dark Knight Returns, but the 2-part animated films you may be familiar with. He's also very good at Twitter and putting people in their place on Twitter, so you might also know him from that.
Say what you wrote. That's I think they will love it.
I mean, I wrote Jay Oliva, Batman The Dark Knight Returns director and Twitter Slayer, will be show running as well as directing 2 episodes of the series. The series will be executive produced by Deborah Snyder, Zack Snyder, Wesley Collar from The Stone Quarry, alongside Jay Oliva and Shay Hatton. De La Reguera, Notaro, Hardwick, and Purnell will reprise their feature roles in the anime series. The idea for Netflix with Army of the Dead is to take big bets on the same IP in other languages and formats. And about this idea, Zack Snyder said, quote, "I'm incredibly excited for the opportunity to partner with Netflix again as we expand the Army of the Dead universes the Army of the Dead universe. I got to be specific. There's no multiverse here. With both an international prequel as well as exploring the visually dynamic world of animation. It's been a great collaboration, and we are thrilled that Netflix sees this as big of an IP as we do, unquote. Okay. All right, fellas, we've gotten through all that news. So Mark, so we made it. We got through it. So now we can talk about it. So Mark, do you have any thoughts about Army of the Dead or any of this news related to the prequel film or the anime series?
Yeah, a couple things. The first one, I just want to say congratulations to Samantha Wynn for actually having like a starring role and not just Samantha Wynn is usually, I know she played Carvex and Uboa. She played Carvex in Man of Steel and Uboa in Wonder Woman. But most of that is being a stunt double and just, you know, hey, we know you're the stunt double of Feora. So do you just want to like also be in the movie? So this is like going to be Samantha's like first time starring in like a movie as a you know, as herself an original character and having more of a role. And if it's short, then sorry, but I mean, at least she's starring in it, which is kind of cool. So congratulations to Samantha Wynn on that one. But overall, like this news about the prequel, the animated series, all this stuff coming out. This is a huge win for Zack Snyder. It's to me a gamble for Netflix. I don't know why they're doing this. I think most of us are going, why? Why are you doing? I mean, cool, but why? Like, why are you trying to hype it up? Is it because we have to do the reshoots now with Tig Notaro? Like, is it because Germany's got things under control with the pandemic, so they're able to shoot things and we can't do anything over here? So this movie is probably just sitting on a shelf somewhere, like most of Zack's movies, and we're just kind of like, so we're just kind of like, hey, why don't we try to hype up this movie? I mean, it's such a weird thing for a streaming service to invest so much in their Netflix original movies now, when they used to just be like, hey, we dropped this movie and turns out people like it. So I don't know. It's a huge gamble for them. I don't get it.
Yeah, especially since Army of the Dead hasn't even come out yet. So this is taking a gamble on something that hasn't been proven successul yet. Yeah. So this is a huge thing that Netflix has taken this
not
chance
even a
on.
Trailer.
Not a trailer. I don't think we have the storyboards that he usually tries to tease out there. So we know next to nothing except that that one or two sentences of the description and the cast names, which regrettably are very difficult for me to pronounce. But so we know nothing. So this is a big deal for Netflix to be doing. So Andy, do you have any thoughts about Army of the Dead?
First of all, I need the viewers to know how much hard work Rebecca puts into this. She put, for all those, because I'm not gonna even try to pronounce his last name. She's braver than I am, but like putting in like the pronunciations, like with the where all the dashes are and so. And this is also someone who hosts a podcast about a show with a bunch of Martians that decides to change the apostrophe.
It's hard, man. Yeah. A lot of apostrophes in those names.
Yeah. So first of all, congrats for I don't think any of us boys could figure this out, because I'm just gonna scroll down and look at the names anymore. I'm not too much into zombies. Like I watched, the only thing I watched recently with zombies is iZombie, and
it's a great show.
It is a great show, but it's not as violent as like most zombie things are. And I'm sure this is gonna be what we usually see of zombies in media and so on. But I love Zack so much that I will watch it. I will support him and so on. And because I can't cuss, I will just describe that I flip the bird to all the people in the blogger sphere and the journalistic sphere who because I just want Zack to win. Like and he is this is his year, and Netflix investing in him and wanting to do this animated show and this prequel. I mean, look, I want him to just rise and own it, because like I feel there are directors right in this industry that definitely do not deserve what they have. There's, I'm not gonna go into names, but there's one that we may have mentioned earlier on this panel. But like, and I want to go back to what Mark said regarding about how people try to like put Zack into this box of like grim and dark and so on. It's like, Christopher Nolan is dark and grim. Have you seen any of his films? Like, they're all intense AF, but yet no one calls him intense and dark or grim. And so, like and Zach has, his films are also visually always so beautiful to look at. So, like, I'm sure, like, he's probably gonna make me weep for like how zombies are portrayed. I'm like oh my god, that shot of that zombie eating that other person, it's just so stunning. So I'm happy that Netflix is seeing the value in Zach as a creator, and hopefully that leads to maybe an overall deal with Netflix, and where he starts producing other films and directing other stuff and so on, from other genres and so on, because Zach definitely deserves a platform, and that he has HBO Max and Netflix. I'm happy for him, and I will watch all that. And also Jay Olivia, who is I mean, I totally stan him. Like, like, he is one of the best people on Twitter. Where like, well, it's not real though. He's like, but it is. Yeah, but it is. Is it though? It is. It's real. No, it's not real. Yes, it's real. Yeah. So like he's I love what he's done for the world DC. So I'm I'm glad that he's gonna be showrunning this, and I look forward to it. So yeah, for Zach and his people, like, I'm always happy when good things happen, even if it's gonna be something as a little intimidating as zombies. But like I said, he's probably gonna be maybe like that shot. Like, just the specifics.
Yeah, Zack Snyder haters are probably having like the worst year in 2020 because so much good Zack Snyder news is coming out. So Pete, do you have any thoughts on Army of the Dead?
I'm glad that we haven't been given a lot of information. I'm trying to go more and more into anything I see, like, with little information. Like, for example, Palm Springs that came out earlier this year on Hulu. I had next to no information on that. All I knew was that Andy Samberg was in it. And I'm glad I didn't know anything, because I came out of it completely loving that film, which, by the way, if you haven't seen it, quick plug, go watch it immediately. But getting back to this, he redid one of my favorite zombie movies of all time with Dawn of the Dead. So I'm excited to see what he does with Army of the Dead, see how that comes out. I'm a huge zombie fan, so anything zombie, sign me up. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they got going on. And yes, it is totally a huge gamble to do this, announce all this information when we haven't seen any piece of film yet, or teaser or anything. But it speaks to the confidence they have in Snyder, or it speaks to the hype they're jumping on right now because of all the Snyder Cut stuff. But it's exciting that they have a plan in place and they plan to execute it. Now I'll definitely be there to watch it when it drops.
Yeah, maybe they saw there was a demand for Zack Snyder. I mean, it's almost like they paid attention to what was happening with fans. That seems like a smart thing to do.
It wasn't real though. Like, that was just a figment of imagination in their head. Like, like, it's just bots on Twitter just saying stuff. It wasn't like we raised how much money for, and like how much attention this got in the world. But that never happened. Barry, he went back in time and undid it. So time travel shame, Barry. Shame on you.
Time travel shame. So Bill, are you a big zombie fan?
Moderate, not as much as I used to be, but Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead is probably my second favorite zombie movie ever, next to Shaun of the Dead. Great movie. Do you guys know if it's going to be like connected at all? If it's like in the same world as his Dawn of the Dead?
I was wondering that. That's a good question. I was curious about that.
I mean, I know Romero's films were always just kind of like, it's a zombie world. It's not necessarily connected to what's gone on before. So I'm guessing that's the approach here, but I'm also guessing that's why Netflix felt super confident in giving him, the animated series and stuff along with it, because, there's a lot of people who hate on Zack Snyder. There's almost no one who hates on his Dawn of the Dead.
That's true.
Like, good point. Most people will be like, man, I hate Zack Snyder. I wish that he would, lose all of his money and have to live on the street. But you know what? His Dawn of the Dead was pretty good.
So what they probably do? They're probably like, I'm just going to try and just credit the producer on Dawn of the Dead rather than, they're just so against Zack. They're like, let's just find like a different name on IMDb. This name seems really cool.
Yes. That other
Yeah.
person was responsible for why it was so good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That key grip guy, that was he wrote
Yeah.
it, everything. It was all him.
Nailed it, crushed it.
Yeah. People
He
really
played
do,
the zombie baby.
they really do say like a lot that they like his Dawn of the Dead, and sometimes they'll even say like they like his Watchmen, even though they don't like him, because I mean it's almost verbatim except for the ending, and because of that, some people really do like that movie despite not really liking him. I wish people would do that with Sucker Punch. I wish people would be like, hey, I don't like the guy, but I like Sucker Punch. And I feel like a lot of times people are like, I don't like Zack Snyder because of Sucker Punch. And I'm like, what are you talking? Why is that? Why do you not like that movie? I feel like that's one of the best movies I ever saw. And I saw that movie without knowing who Zack Snyder was. I didn't know who Zack Snyder was until Man of Steel. And then I went, oh, he made Sucker Punch. I really enjoyed that movie. I saw that by myself.
So, Mark, where is the Sucker Punch by the minute? I'm waiting. TikTok.
I love that movie so much. I can talk about it anytime. But
But the
that's-
Watchmen by minute and talk. You said when Rebecca said TikTok,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
I'm really good friends with him. Watchmen Minute. It's my buddy Travis does that one. So
Is there a big minute by minute community?
very huge.
Yes.
Huge. moviesbyminute.com. It was
Nice.
it was it got popular because my buddies Pete and Alex, they did Star Wars Minute.
Yep.
And that was the one, once people found out about that one, they were like, oh, we can do this. Everyone can do this. And so that was just Nathan and I talk about DC way too much. So we're like, why don't we just hit record and just put it as a podcast.
Mark, I need to correct you for a second. There's no such thing called as talking about DC too much. There's always time.
Hey, apparently Twitter says we talk about it way too much. So
well, Twitter is wrong about a lot of things.
Twitter's wrong.
Every piece of the day. And so no, it's like if there's room for MCU, there's room for DC stuff too.
Yeah.
Rebecca, could you imagine if we cover like our shows minute by minute?
That would be so agonizing.
I just
be
listen to
totally
Rebecca
honest.
and Morgan going through Rebecca's Google Docs minute by minute, like from an episode of Supergirl, or like I would do it for the Flash. So I mean, it's like it would. You know what? Why it's a pandemic. Why don't we use this time to experiment a little,
minute by minute?
If we did a Supergirl minute, it would be this week's minute. Kara didn't do any work, and then next week's minute was Kara didn't do her job again this week. So I mean, it wouldn't be very.
You would have to, it'd be a whole episode of just like
our favorite episode of our show, like our absolute favorites,
and just do that minute by minute.
Yeah, you would have a whole episode of just what's on Cat Cora's desk. Like, what is that? What's she eating? Why what is that? Is that
Now,
you just go through everything, every little detail.
Going?
Oh, okay, all right. So I'm Mark. I'm going to reach out to you and Nate to help me format this. We're going to workshop this.
Yeah, okay.
The cat grantness of it all. That sparks my imagination. The wall of monitors. We could break that down. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm sort of. I know there's some of us here on this panel who aren't really zombie people. I am also one of those people. I gave The Walking Dead 3 seasons, and I was like, I'm finished with the show. It has not progressed in any way, and I don't like zombies, so I think I'm going to quit it. So I have a somewhat of a tolerance. I did watch I Am Legend with Will Smith. So I will tolerate zombies if there's a good story. I also really like Dawn of the Dead from Zack Snyder. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was a really well-made film, and it had some humor in there, which I don't think Zack Snyder gets a lot of credit for. And
grim and dark.
Yeah.
So I think
the cool thing about zombie movies too is they're a lot like superhero movies in that it takes some characters and it puts them in situations where they have to make these moral choices, and it gets you as an audience member thinking, what would I do in that situation? And that's kind of the fun of it. It's not necessarily for me the blood and the gore and the blowing people's heads off and stuff like that. It's more just like there's this dad and his son, but if he gives his son to the zombie, he'll survive. What's it gonna do?
Yeah, I did a lot of that watching The Walking Dead, and a lot of it was, don't leave the farm. What are you doing? Stop doing that. Like, I yelled at the TV a lot. So yeah, with zombie movies, you do get put in that place. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that what Army of the Dead is like, because it seems like we're going to be hanging maybe with some criminals. They're trying to pull off a heist. So I don't know if these are going to be morally gray people.
Like a Suicide Squad?
Maybe like a Suicide Squad. So it'll be interesting how they develop those characters, because it is a very unique cast. There's some comedians in there. There's some international people in there. So I think that'll be really cool to see what they all bring to the table.
One thing I thought was, just before you move on, that I thought was really interesting about the cast is apparently Tig Notaro is a late addition, because there was another comedian in that slot and he had a Me Too moment or something along those lines.
Yep.
So they recast him. So they shot most of the movie. They recast with Tig Notaro, and they've just been shooting all her stuff separately, and will integrate it with all the footage from the rest of the cast, you know, in post-production. So I thought that you generally don't hear about them completely replacing a character in post, you know?
Yeah, the only time I can think of something like that is the pilot of Smallville, because they initially shot it with some other actress, and then they were like, "Hey, this Annette O'Toole lady, she's a pretty good actress, and I think she might have already been in a Superman movie. So let's bring her in." And so they reshot it with Annette O'Toole. So
I guess there was that Kevin Spacey movie that was about to come out when he had his moment, and they completely reshot the main character.
Plummer. Yeah.
And then he started making moves. And that's how he started making. Then he started making weird Christmas movies on YouTube.
Well, hopefully they'll be able to integrate her into it and it be seamless. Because I personally think Tig Notaro is pretty funny. She's also a breast cancer survivor like me, so I'm kind of part of that sisterhood. But she's great. So I'm looking forward to see what she brings to the table. All right, so I think we're running kind of on out of time here. So I think we covered all we needed to today. So we've got through all our zombie talk, all of our storyboard talk, and all of our teaser trailer talk. So thank you guys for hanging in there with me. So I think that's going to do it for this Snyder Cut Round Table. So let's go around our metaphorical round table here. It's more of a rectangular rectangle shape,
like a trapezoid.
Yeah, with a lot of rectangles in it, so it's geometric in this case. Anyway,
it's a reverse Cubert shape.
Okay. Let's go with that. I like Cubert. So our Cubert roundtable. We're wrapping this up. So let's go around and say where people can find us if they don't already know. So Mark, let's start with you. How can people track you down on the internet?
Absolutely. So DC EU Minute is the DC Cinematic Minute podcast. You can find that on Twitter, and you can find the podcast on whatever you're looking, whatever podcast app people are using nowadays. You can find on there DC Cinematic Minute. And then I also do another podcast I co-host with Nate. It's called Doom Patrol Radio. We talk about the DC Universe show Doom Patrol. We absolutely love that show and absolutely have such a great time. We had Tom Farrell, the story editor, or the lead story person on, help talk us through season 2. We talk a lot about that. That's a show that again, like the DC movies, Doom Patrol's comic book that we talked a lot, and as we grow up in our 20s and 30s, it's something we relate to. So Doom Patrol meant a lot to us. So I just want to plug that real quick. Radio Doom Patrol on all social media. You can find that. And then if you want to follow me on anything, it's Mark Meadows, not the senator. Mark Meadows with a Z at the end. So yeah, that's me.
Doom Patrol is a bonkers show, and I love it. So that's good times. All right, so Andy, where can people find you on the internet?
Oh my God, I'm everywhere. So we might be here for a while. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. Probably one of my favorite Friday nights of all time. You can find me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at @AndyRebacked. I, like Rebecca said at the beginning of the show, I co-host the Flash podcast and Titans / Doom Patrol podcast over on the DC Podcast Network. So here we talk about DC TV, and occasionally about DCU. I'm over there. I write a lot for Screen Rant, TV movies, and can I say the M word?
You can plug that other.
Did you say I murder?
Yeah. You can also. I'm also the editor-in-chief of the Murdered Report, or the Murder Report. Just look at my bio, and you will see I don't want to
It's called the Marvel Report.
Yeah.
Let's correct that now so we don't get into any trouble.
Yeah,
Captain Marvel, right? Captain Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's where I'm at. And also, because this will be going on YouTube, I guess. So if I also have a channel at Anibike, just like my Twitter handle. So there's an infamous when they announced BVS that has like kind of gone a little viral, I guess, because like it has over 1 million views. So and people are still commenting today, and like or people like watching this after Snyder Cut trailer was announced. So it's and you can hear me like really freaking out because like it was Batman and Superman's logo on the top of each other, and it was so cool. So yeah, if you feel like it, subscribe there, and again, this was so much fun. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. If I go back and watch that now, I still get goosebumps.
You didn't know that it was my clip. I think
it's a great announcement that is still very fun to watch. All right, so Pete, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Pacing Pete on Twitter, Instagram. I do have a podcast. It's a bit on hiatus right now. But I talk about all things geeky, throwing some sports in there. I actually do write fantasy sports as well. So if you want to hit me up on Twitter, we can talk about DC stuff, Zack Snyder stuff like we did here, fantasy sports. I'm game for all kinds of topics. And thank you, Rebecca, again for having me on. It was a pleasure to sit with you guys and just geek out about all things Zack Snyder. And thank you.
Bill, where can we find you? There's so many places, but let's get comfortable. Okay.
Right here in my office.
Yeah, we found him.
We found him. There he is.
Surprise. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all that, at Bill Meeks. I'll say, if you want some good old fashioned sketch comedy, I have a sketch comedy. Well, it's really a sketch dramedy podcast called The Fakest, who I co-star on with Rebecca here. You can check that out at thefakest.com. And if you enjoyed listening to me talk about things I'm a fan of, I wrote a book on how to do that on your own podcast. It's called
That's
Fan
awesome.
Podcasting, The Complete Guide. You can find that at doanything.media/fan podcasting, both free, paid versions. Audible book coming out in a couple weeks.
That's
I
awesome.
highly recommend it.
Oh my god! Look at you!
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, there's some really knowledgeable people quoted in that book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wait, you were talking about you. Rebecca's
He
in it
quotes
too.
himself.
Yes. No, I highly recommend it. Check out The Fakest. Bill, for some reason, thinks I can act, which is very strange.
She can act. It's great.
It helps that your character is basically you.
It's basically based on me, so I'm just playing myself.
What's your character's name, Rebecca?
I'm sorry?
What's your character's name?
That is appropriate for this. Her first name is Leanne, but Bill gave her the last name Snyder because I'm such a big Zack Snyder fan. So her name is Leanne Snyder. So definitely check that out. Leanne gets into a lot of scrapes. So so if you're interested,
a lot of mischief.
A lot of mischief. Some
hijinks,
cat attacks, things like that.
Where does Leanne come from?
That would be a Bill question.
What was that?
Why the name Leanne?
Leanne, you know what? I'm trying to remember. It's been so long since I
thought it was a Furry Rocks thing for them. I'm like, no, like that's
no.
That's
I mean, it's kind of a good old like Southern name.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's a good old Southern name.
that's my
let's just say, I once, when I was in college, I loved a girl named Leanne. There, that's why.
That's a great backstory. I'll take
So
it.
broke my heart, man.
And my wrist.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
That took a dark turn. Okay. Well, you can find me. If you want to check out my podcast called Supergirl Radio, you can go to supergirlradio.com. We talk about Supergirl on the TV series, but also in the comics and in film and in animation. So we talk about all things cars. I'm also on Instagram at The Derby Kid, and I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/duckmilkprod. So if you want to check me out there, feel free to do so. Well, thank you to all of my guests. All of these guys have been part of my podcasting experience, and so I'm glad that they took some time to hang out with me for this round table. For this, what did we call it? the cube. I forgot what shape.
Reverse
The mind vomit table.
Yes, for this geometric shape table for this edition of the Snyder Cut Round Table. So thank you to all my guests, to the folks
Thank you.
RT Snyder Cut, and to everyone who watches this. And remember, we can face anything if we do it united.
Come together.